Hello, my dear students. Welcome to Biolessons. In today's class, we are going to understand about Kingdom Monera under the chapter Biological Classification. If you take Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification, organisms we know are classified into Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. So Monera is the first kingdom under the Whittaker's 5 kingdom classification, and it comprises of all the primitive organisms that are prokaryotic in nature. All others are eukaryotic organisms. We have already read about it, right? Now, so organisms under the Monera are prokaryotic. It essentially means that they do not have true nucleus or membrane bound nucleus. Also, the organisms do not have membrane bound organelles present in them, such as ER, Golgi body. All of them are absent in case of the organisms under Monera. Okay. Now, body organization type, if you see, organisms are generally unicellular in nature. Unicellular means they possess single cell. Now, if you see the ribosomes, which is the cell organelle responsible for protein synthesis and is present in both eukaryote and prokaryote, it is 70S in nature, while for other eukaryotes, it is 80S. Now, reproduction mainly occurs by binary fission. And if you see cell wall, it is generally present in the organisms under Monera. Okay, let's learn more about the general characteristics of Monera. So, Kingdom Monera, it comprises of all the prokaryotic organisms or essentially or the bacteria, because all the bacteria are prokaryotic in nature. So, bacteria are the sole members of the Kingdom Monera. Okay. Now, these bacteria are the most abundant microorganisms. Why? Because they can live in a wide range of habitats. They can survive in normal habitat or extreme habitat such as hot spring, deserts, snow, deep oceans. Also, they can stay inside the living organism as a harmful organism or parasite, or they can benefit the living organism and exist in a symbiotic relationship. So all these wide habitats make the bacteria the most abundant microorganisms. Okay. So if you take a handful of soil, it contains about hundreds of bacteria. Okay. Now, these bacteria show the most extensive metabolic diversity. What's the meaning of this? It means that bacteria, some of them can be autotrophic in nature. Autotrophic means they can synthesize their own food. Otherwise, they can be heterotrophic in nature. Heterotrophic means they depend on other organisms or dead organic matter for their nutrient requirements. Further, under autotrophic, the bacteria may use the sunlight to synthesize their own food called as photoautotrophic, or they can rely upon chemical reaction or such as oxidation to get there to synthesize their own food, that is chemoautotrophism. So because they have such different ways in which they can either prepare their food or get their nutrients, that is why they show the most extensive metabolic diversity. Okay, this is a very important line. Now, these bacteria can have 4 different type of shapes. Number 1 is spherical shape, which is called as coccus. Second is rod shaped, which is known as bacillus. And third is spiral shaped, which is called as spirillum. Fourth is comma shaped, which is known as vibrium. Okay. Now, in plural, coccus is cocci, bacillus is bacilli, spirillum is spirilla, and vibrium is vibrio. Example of coccus type of bacteria is Staphylococcus, bacillus is E. coli, spiral bacteria is Helicobacter pylori, and vibrium is Vibrio cholerae, that causes cholera. Okay. If you take the different organisms under Kingdom Monera, they differ with each other with respect to the number one is the cell wall. Okay, both structure and composition, and second is the membrane characteristics. Okay, on the basis of that, whether the cell wall is present or absent, what are the characteristics of membrane, we can classify the organisms as Archaebacteria, Eubacteria or true bacteria, and Mycoplasma. Okay, look, now the cell wall, it is present in both Archaebacteria and Eubacteria, but it is absent in Mycoplasma. Okay, now what's the difference with Archaebacteria and Eubacteria? The cell wall of Archaebacteria is different from that of the Eubacteria. While the cell wall in case of Eubacteria, it is made up of peptidoglycan, the Archaebacteria lacks peptidoglycan. Also, the membrane composition is different. Okay, you don't need a lot of details in that. Just know that Archaebacteria lacks peptidoglycan, or it has a different cell wall composition. Okay. Let us talk about the first type of bacteria, that is Archaebacteria. Archae means primitive or old. So Archaebacteria is the most primitive or old type of the bacteria. It is in fact one of the oldest type of the living organism found on the earth. Okay. So these Archaebacteria are prokaryotes adapted to some of the most extreme habitats, because look, in the primitive times the environment was very harsh, so these Archaebacteria are adapted to extreme type of habitats. For example, they are halophiles. Halo means salt, philes mean loving, so the Archaebacteria type which can survive in extremely salty areas are known as halophiles. Okay. Second is thermoacidophiles. Thermo means heat. Acido means acid. So this type of bacteria loves both heat and acid. So they can survive in hot acidic environments such as hot springs. Okay. Now the third type of bacteria are methanogens. So methanogens is the ones which produce methane. They can survive in marshy anaerobic environments as well as the gut of the ruminants. So see, these Archaebacteria can survive in very extreme type of habitat. Okay. Now how they differ from the Eubacteria, we already discussed with respect to the cell wall structure, or Archaebacteria have a different cell wall structure. Clear? Now I want you all to pay special attention to methanogens. These methanogens, we saw it is responsible for methane production, right? They are present in marshy areas. But another important thing is they are present in gut of several ruminant animals. Ruminant animals means cows and buffaloes. Here they play another important function. Okay, these methanogens are responsible for production of methane. So when we keep the cow dung, we get the biogas from them because the methane is produced with the help of the methanogens. So methanogens help in the biogas formation from the cow dung. Very important from exam perspective. Discuss about the second category of the organisms under Monera, that is the Eubacteria. Here the word Eu means true, so Eubacteria means true bacteria. What are the characteristic features? Look, all the Eubacteria come under Monera, so they are prokaryotic and mostly unicellular. Second point is they have a rigid cell wall, and that is made up of peptidoglycan. Okay. Now, if the bacteria is motile or it can move, then it possesses a flagella for locomotion. Okay. Now, they have a lot of metabolic diversity. That is, they can be autotrophic or heterotrophic. Coming to reproduction of the bacteria, so Eubacteria generally reproduce by binary fission. We'll be learning more about it in a bit. Okay, so most important features, if you see, the presence of the cell wall, flagella for locomotion, and metabolic diversity, that is autotrophic or heterotrophic. Okay. Another important point is eubacteria are the most abundant microorganism. Okay. Next, let us now discuss about the diverse nutritional modes in eubacteria. Now, the eubacteria, it can be autotrophic or synthesize its own food, or heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means it cannot synthesize its own food. Okay. Now, under autotrophic, the bacteria can further be photosynthetic autotroph, which means it utilizes the energy of sunlight to prepare its own food, or it chemosynthetic autotrophs, which means bacteria utilizes the chemical substances or oxidation of chemical compounds to synthesize its food. Okay. Now, coming to heterotrophic bacteria, they depend upon either the living organisms or dead organic matter to derive its nutritional requirements. Now, under living organism, the bacteria can further be parasitic. What is the meaning of parasitic? That means the bacteria will live inside the host and it will be harmful for the host. For example, the disease causing bacteria. They are example of the parasitic bacteria. Otherwise, they can be beneficial for the living organism. That is, the bacteria stays inside the host. It derives some benefit, nutritional benefit from the host, and it in turn gives some benefit to the host also. That is known as the symbiotic bacteria. Okay. Now, we can find this in the bacteria living in the legumes, okay, which help in nitrogen fixation. So they help the host or the legume plant, but in turn they derive nutrients from the legume plants. Okay. Coming to the second category under heterotrophic, so the bacteria which feed on dead organic matter, they are known as saprophytic bacteria. Now, what do they do? Look, this bacteria, they synthesize extracellular enzymes that digest the dead organic matter and then later absorb it to meet their nutritional requirements. So, are you clear about the nutritional modes found in eubacteria? So let's now discuss about the first type of bacteria, that is the photosynthetic autotroph. Example of it is cyanobacteria or blue-green algae. So photosynthetic autotroph means it has chlorophyll A pigment in it just like the plants and can synthesize the food in the presence of sunlight. Okay. Now, these bacteria, they can exist as a unicellular, that is single cell, or they can exist as a colony. Okay. Otherwise, they can exist as a filament. Okay. If they exist as a filament, then or a colony, then they have a gelatinous sheath that covers the colony. Look, this is the colony of the cyanobacteria and it has a gelatinous sheath which covers it. Okay. Similarly, if it is a filamentous bacteria also, that's also a type of colony. So that is also covered by a gelatinous sheath. Okay. Now, in your NCERT textbook, you have the diagram for the nostoc. This is the filamentous nostoc and it is covered by, you see, the gelatinous sheath which is marked in blue. Okay. This gelatinous sheath is also otherwise known as the mucilaginous sheath. Okay. Now, where does this cyanobacteria live? This cyanobacteria can be found in freshwater, marine as well as terrestrial environment. Okay. One important point is that whenever you have algal blooms, this is mostly caused by the cyanobacteria. So cyanobacteria causes blooms in the polluted water bodies. You see, before they were considered as the algae. Later, because they were unicellular in nature or not strictly multicellular, they were recategorized under the Monera, right? So this blooms, this water blooms in the polluted water bodies, it is associated with the cyanobacteria. Okay. Another very important point is that some of the cyanobacteria, pay attention to the some, not all, some of the cyanobacteria can help in nitrogen fixation, and they have special type of cells present in them known as the heterocysts. And these heterocysts, you see in the diagram, heterocyst is present in the nostoc and it can help in fixation of nitrogen. So these special cells, that is special type of cells, that is a heterocyst, they help in fixing the nitrogen. Okay. Example is nostoc and anabina. You must pay attention that not all the cyanobacteria possess the heterocyst. Okay. Second type of bacteria under the autotrophic eubacteria is chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. So we already discussed these type of bacteria. They obtain the energy by oxidizing inorganic substances instead of the sunlight energy, right? Now, what are the substances that are oxidized? Examples are ammonia, that is NH3, nitrite, that is NO2 minus, hydrogen sulfide, that is H2S, and ferrous ions, that is Fe2 plus. So what happens is that these inorganic substances are oxidized. In that process, energy is released, which is used to form the ATP, and the ATP produced is utilized to synthesize organic compounds from carbon dioxide. So the chemoautotrophs, they obtain their nutritional requirements by oxidation of the chemical substances. Okay. Now you see the inorganic substances used, they have nitrogen, sulfur, iron in them. So these chemoautotrophs, they have a great role in recycling nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and sulfur in the environment. Very important point. Okay. Next category of eubacteria is heterotrophic bacteria. We already discussed heterotrophs cannot prepare their own food, depend upon the live organisms in either parasitic mode and symbiotic mode to obtain their nutritional requirements. Otherwise, they feed on dead and decaying organic matter to derive their nutrition. So, few more important points we'll discuss here. Look, heterotrophic bacteria are the most abundant type in nature. Okay. Among the Archaebacteria, Mycoplasma and Eubacteria, three classes of Monera, Eubacteria is most abundant. Among Eubacteria, heterotrophic bacteria is the most abundant. Okay. Now, because saprophytic bacteria, they derive the nutrients from dead matter, so they act as a major decomposers. Very important point. Okay. Examples of parasitic bacteria, if you see, all the disease causing bacteria. Example, Vibrio cholerae, that causes cholera, typhoid tetanus causing bacteria, and citrus canker causing bacteria, which causes the disease in lemon plant. Okay, that's an example of the parasitic bacteria. Okay, we discussed in the symbiotic type of bacteria, the organisms, they live in close association with the host and both benefit in this method. Okay, example, rhizobium, which helps in nitrogen fixation. Both rhizobium gets the nutrients, as well as the legume root nodules or the legume plants are benefited because they get the nitrogen fixed by the rhizobium bacteria. Okay. Another important point is that heterotrophic bacteria, they have a significant role in human affairs. For example, many heterotrophic bacteria, they help in making curd, wine, cheese, also in the production of antibiotics. Okay. If you say reproduction in bacteria, the bacteria, they generally reproduce by binary fission. Okay. Only under unfavorable condition they produce spores. Okay. Also, a primitive form of sexual reproduction is present in bacteria, that is called as conjugation. In this, the bacteria transfers the DNA from one bacterium to another. So what is it exactly? Let's have a look. Okay. Look, so binary fission, what happens? This is one bacteria and it has the genetic matter, circular DNA. So what happens? A copy of the genetic material is formed. Then in the midline there is a groove which is formed, and in the next step two daughter cells are formed, and each one gets the copy of the genetic material. This is the binary fission. Okay, the most common method of reproduction found in bacteria. Okay, and what is the sexual reproduction or conjugation? This is the primitive form of sexual reproduction. Okay, so what happens? One F plus bacteria would be there, which will have a F plasmid. Another bacteria will be there which will lack the F plasmid. This is the F plasmid. Okay, we will know the details later. Just understand it for now. Okay, this is the F plasmid. This is a F plus bacteria. This is the F minus bacteria. So here there will be a conjugation tube, and the F plasmid in the process of conjugation will be transferred from the F plus to the F minus bacteria. Okay, this is your conjugation tube. Did you get it? So this is the primitive form of sexual reproduction or conjugation. This is binary fission. I hope you are clear about it. Let us now discuss about the final category of organisms under the Kingdom Monera, that is the Mycoplasma. They are the most unique type of organism. Why? Because they lack a cell wall. Look, other organisms under Monera like Eubacteria, they possess a peptidoglycan cell wall. Archaebacteria, it possesses another distinct cell wall, but Mycoplasma, it is the only organism under Monera which lacks a cell wall. Okay. Further, Mycoplasma can survive without oxygen or is anaerobic in nature. Mostly, the Mycoplasma is pathogenic in both animals as well as plants. And most importantly, it is the smallest living cell known. Okay. Now, you must be wondering, if Mycoplasma lacks a cell wall, why at all it is placed under bacteria? Look, this is because it shares other important characteristics same as that of Monera. What are they? It has a naked genetic material or non-membrane bound genetic material, just like the prokaryotes. Okay. Second point is, it lacks any membrane bound organelles. No membrane bound organelle are present in the Mycoplasma. Okay. Third important point is that the ribosome type is 70S. Fourth is, it reproduces asexually, and it is by the method of binary fission. So you see, all the points we discussed here is common to the bacteria. That is why Mycoplasma is placed under the Monera kingdom. Is that clear? So with this we finish Kingdom Monera today. Look, for this chapter you need to revise each and every point which is given in the NCERT textbook. There might be a lot of data which is given in the supplementary textbooks, but remember, NEET asks questions everything which is there in the NCERT. So if you go through this video nicely, remember the points, this is definitely enough for your NEET preparation. Okay. Now, if you have any doubts regarding this topic, please feel free to reach out to me, comment, and I would be very happy to answer. Also, if you like the session today, please hit the like button, share with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you everyone. Have a very wonderful day.